Today, I'm very excited to announce the next generation of Apple Vision Pro. That's it? Oh my god, it's so light, Tim! That looks so cool! Is the battery integrated? What are you talking about, Drew? These are just my sunglasses. But you said you were announcing Apple Vision Pro! Yes, of course I am, and I have to do that at Apple Park, which is very sunny, and I need to protect my eyes, Drew. Okay, fine. Let's just see the next generation now. Well, we think you're gonna love it. Oh god, what is that? That's still so heavy, so bulky. What are you doing, Tim? Stop. Well, Drew, it's actually 0.5 micrograms lighter than the Apple Vision Pro. Does it have better battery life? No. Has the resolution increased? No. Has the field of view improved? No. Is it waterproof now? No. So what did you actually change? Well, you see, we put the M5 chip in here, and now it supports Apple Intelligence. Cowboy Frog. I'm putting it on the wall. Okay, let's begin. Apple Vision Pro reportedly is out of production. They've made enough of these things, and I think they figured out that they've got enough supply to cover demand for potentially the next year or two, because, yeah, I think Tim Cook knew from the beginning this was a early adopter product. He said that on the record. I don't think Apple, who's one of the most valuable brands in the world, was expecting a $3,500 headset to be like a smash hit. They weren't expecting it to sell as well as AirPods or MacBooks. And I get annoyed when a lot of people in the comments and online act like they're somehow some genius for saying, you know, it didn't sell well because it was expensive. It's like, wow, you think? It should be noted that from the beginning, Apple intentionally limited the market for Apple Vision Pro because they knew that the demand was not going to be that high. It was not in high volume relative to iPhone production or AirPod production or even Mac production. They kept it relatively low at unit volume. Something around 1,000 units were made a day, but that was at its peak, and apparently the factory was not running at its peak, and they're saying right now that the assembly line has been paused. It's frozen, which means it's not been dismantled if they want to bring it back again, if there's somehow a large uptick in people ordering it, but I don't think that's going to happen. They're a big company, and they're probably trying to figure out what to do, but my point in this video is not that Apple Vision Pro wasn't popular enough. It's more so that it was a manufacturing exercise for Apple, and I think that it was kind of like a big public dev kit. You know, I don't think anyone from the beginning was expecting spatial computing to always use a device this heavy, that was this expensive, that required a battery in your pocket with a wire. I think Apple even knew from the beginning that no, this is just a temporary stepping stone to get us where we want to be in the future, because that's what everybody's thinking about with Apple Vision Pro, right? We all tried it, and we all came to that conclusion of there's some neat ideas here with the hand tracking and the eye tracking and figuring out how to make spatial apps and that kind of thing. There's some good ideas, but it's certainly not ready for prime time. But that's actually one of the reasons I love talking about Apple Vision Pros. It's one of the product categories at Apple that doesn't feel like it's matured and there's nowhere else to go with it. I'll be honest, anytime we do videos documenting here's what's supposed to happen on the next iPhone or the next iPad or the next Mac, I get bored pretty quick. I'm like, all right, another OLED display, or oh, a camera is going to have a little bit more zoom. That doesn't excite me all that much, but the amount of room for improvement there is on Apple Vision Pro does excite me. And I think Apple knew that, okay, we want people to understand where the direction of the company is headed. We want people to feel like Apple is still on the cutting edge and experimenting with things. You know, Apple hadn't launched a new operating system since basically watchOS, and that was in 2014. So a decade had gone by, and I think Tim Cook was ready for, okay, we need to showcase that we're working on something big and we're thinking about the future of our hardware. And they could have probably left Apple Vision Pro as a dev kit, and that would have made it really hard to get your hands on, and that would have made it really exclusive, like only registered developers that were invited by Apple could try it out. But it was one of those rare instances in which Apple, I think, was comfortable with, you know what? Actually, no, we want everybody to have the chance to experience this. And that's why they're still going to have Apple Vision Pros at Apple stores, and they're still going to talk about Vision OS at Dub, of, because Apple probably felt like they had to show people that they were investing and thinking greatly into the future of computing and not just dwelling on multi-touch and keyboards and mice anymore. They were like, no, there's clearly something here with spatial computing, and we're not quite there yet, but we want to figure out what attributes of our headset we need to prioritize on the next generation. And launching Apple Vision Pro, as unfinished as it felt, probably gave Apple all kinds of wonderful, beautiful data and all kinds of customer feedback on here's what you did right and here's what you did wrong, and you need to take all of these things into account if you're going to continue releasing these things and actually expect people to buy them. So that's why I think actually in 2025, like I said in my predictions video, we're probably not going to see a new Apple Vision Pro. And I mean new as in, even if we do get one, it's probably just going to be the exact same design with an M5 chip. At least that's what some of the rumors have reported. But even that has said that it could be end of 2025 or more likely start of 2026 before we see that headset. And I don't know if there's a ton of things they can really improve upon with the headset just by a chip upgrade. Maybe the refresh rate gets a little bit better, or maybe the battery life improves a tad. But I think in the end, most people still ultimately feel that the headset is just too heavy. External battery pack is weird and awkward. We're not used to having that on the Quest headset. And I think Apple is probably deep in development now on a more radically outside the box headset design. And that's what we've heard from Bloomberg's Mark Gurman reporting on what Apple's plans are for the future of spatial computing. And I think they're probably toying around with a headset that's a bit more offloaded to the iPhone and maybe doesn't have to have downward facing cameras to track your hands, because they could depend more on the Apple Watch doing the hand tracking for you. We know it's capable of registering when your fingers tap, and it sounds like Meta is kind of experimenting with glasses that do that kind of thing. You know, you wear a little strap around your wrist and it's able to measure your hand motions and finger tapping. And hopefully through that, they can find a way to lower the price of the next generation of Apple Vision, and maybe it's a bit more iPhone dependent, but at least it's a bit closer towards that grand vision we all have of spatial computing just requiring a simple pair of glasses that you can easily put on, don't have to think about, and boom, all of these visuals start appearing around you. We all know that's what Apple wants at the end of the day, and that's why personally, I know I'm hard on Apple a lot, especially with Apple Intelligence, which I felt like was rushed and over-marketed, overhyped, and it felt like a ridiculous chapter in software history, just as bad, if not worse, than the whole 5G trend where they can't shut up about it. And I critique Apple with some of their decisions with the iPad line and with the Apple Watch. I'm not wearing one anymore. You know, I will criticize them when I believe they're in the wrong, but I will defend them a bit here and at least say that even though production has stopped on Apple Vision Pro, and clearly people aren't buying it anymore, I think especially in the age of the internet, word travels fast, so it was kind of a flash in the pan. Like, everybody was excited by it when it first came out, but then everybody kind of reached a generalized consensus. Most YouTubers were like, yeah, kind of cool technology, but don't buy one. And then just a couple of weeks after it launched, I'm sure sales probably flatlined, and very few people can justify them now. I definitely don't see them when I travel or at airports. I see AirPods everywhere, a shocking number of AirPods Max. Like, oh my god, you're all paying $600 for your headphones? But no, I don't see that with $3,500 headsets, even though that was one of the targeted applications for them, even in the first class area on aircraft. I don't see Apple Vision Pro getting used all that much, but I hesitate to call it a failure. Like, all that being said, I still think Apple learned a lot about the manufacturing process, about how to run the software, how to improve upon it, and how to make it better for accessibility. And I think all of the things they've learned from the first generation are vital and will directly influence how good the next generation will be. And I'm okay with Apple moving more towards like a open door model with hardware development. I kind of like what Meta has been doing, where they showcase, okay, here's something we don't plan on mass producing or selling, but here's what we can make at very, very limited volumes, and we hope to be inspired by some of these prototypes to eventually sell something that might have similar features or capabilities. I think that's actually kind of cool, and Apple Vision Pro was kind of the first glance at Apple having a bit more of an open developer kit. You know, they were like, let's just let anybody buy this thing because it is really cool. You do get to experience it in a way that you don't experience any other Apple product. You look through it, not at it. And it certainly got me and my family and my friends talking about headsets like never before, and talking about the future and talking about Apple. Some some people, it kind of scared them. For others, it kind of excited them. And it doesn't even generate a lot of clicks on my YouTube channel right now, but I just wanted to throw it out there as, in my opinion, the most interesting thing going on at Apple right now, because they decided not to get into the electric vehicle business, which I think is a huge shame. That's where all the exciting innovation is going on, but if we're just talking about Apple specifically, this is the field that I think they're pursuing that's got the most room for growth, and I'm sure the software can get better and the hardware can get better, but I don't think it's going to be in 2025. It's probably going to be next year when we actually see some of the effects of the feedback they got on the first generation product. What do you guys think? Are we going to get another Apple Vision Pro that just has an M5 chip, or do you think we're going to get a fundamental redesign next that feels lighter, more affordable, hopefully gets rid of this stupid eyesight display? I think that was the wrong call, but they wouldn't have known that unless they released it. They could have spent years and years refining the eyesight display, making it work from more angles and make it take up more of the overall glass on the outside, only to find out when it comes out, oh yeah, you didn't need to do all of that. Most people are just fine with having a black glossy cover over their eyes, kind of like how sunglasses work. They don't have to project my eyes on the outside of them. All your thoughts, feel free to drop them in the comments below, and thank you to everybody supporting this channel directly. Seriously, helps us out a ton, as does just watching these videos. So thanks again. This is your Apple Shapiro, and I will see you all in the next one.